Well, welcome to round 10 of the American Le Mans Series from the beautiful Laguna Seca Raceway in Monterey, California. We're bringing you live picturally. We'll just bring you up to date with what happened at the start of this race. Round number 10 of the series as we look at the qualifying positions. And it is Audi heading grid. Ronaldo Capello setting the fastest time in qualifying, as we've used to see the Audi out qualifying the rest of the field, but it's normally Alan McNish who sets the pole time. This time Ronaldo Capello, but they don't have it all their own way, with Jan Magnussen and David Brabham very, very close in behind in the lead Panos. We look further down the grid. We also see it in the fastest of the GTS cars. They've won 2 out of the last 3 races, and that of course is the GM Goodwrench Corvette. They've won the last 2 races they've entered in, and they're on pole position in GTS. GT pole position, Sasha Masson and Bob Wallach. Sasha Masson, I should say, and Bob Wallach in the Dick Barber Racing GT3 Porsche 911. But at the front of the grid, at this driver's circuit, Laguna Seca Raceway, on the beautiful Monterey Peninsula, at the front of the field, as we look at the cars warming up, it is Audi. Close in behind, however, is that number 1 Panos, being started by Jan Magnussen, who also set the fastest qualifying time. David Brabham is partnering him. Third on the grid is the second of the 2 Audis, Frank Biela and Emanuele Pero, as we go to green to start 2 hours and 45 minutes of racing here at Laguna Seca, California. And it is the Panos going in. It's the BMW in the second place, so it's Panos BMW as they round the very, very tight turn. It looks like one of the BMWs just gets tapped by the Panos. Yes, it does. Well, that is the number 42 BMW. Oh no, it's the number 43 entry that actually comes together with the Panos, and it looks like he may be out. Well, that is an absolutely disastrous start for that BMW, going out so early on. That's driven by Bill Alberlane, of course, but he may get going again. The 42 teammate car is continuing on. Right now it is the Panos leading, but a disastrous start for BMW. As we look at the number 77 Audi going down into the corkscrew, leading the field right now, though, is the number 1 Panos. Right in behind is the BMW, and you wouldn't have had many people who would have put money on Audi not being right at the front of this race early on. And right now it is a Panos. We look at the number 2 car of Johnny O'Connell. Here we are looking at the start here. Audi off the front row, but it is the Audi that seems to brake extremely early, or no, wouldn't be braking at that point. Absolutely must have missed a gear, done something. That Audi just went backwards off the front row start. Then coming into the very, very tight double left-hander, we can see the second Audi, driven by Emanuele Pero, just squeezing up the inside of the BMW, and just they come together, and he nearly holds onto it, but doesn't manage to, and very, very lucky not to be collected in a big way by somebody else. And we have more problems here, and that is the Corvette driven by the Briton of Justin Bell, which came together, we believe, with one of the BMW GT cars. And we are over to live pictures now after 26 laps of racing. It is still that Panos which is leading this race. David Brabham and Jan Magnussen car leading the second place BMW of JJ Leto and Jörg Muller. In third place now is the Audi of Alan McNish and Ronaldo Capello. Get another little look here. Oh, and that's a Panos coming together into the corkscrew. The number 1 Panos, our leading car, coming together with the number 66 Porsche. And this is something you may see a lot of throughout the race here at Laguna Seca, because it is a very, very tight and twisty track with changes in elevation. And that Panos just trying to squeeze up the inside there, and it's a difficult job for the GT drivers to try and have their own race and stay out of the way. We've said this so many times before, but it really, really is a challenge, particularly there at one of the most unique corners on any racing track in the world, and that is going into the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. The driver's absolutely hard on the brakes over the brow of the hill. Now this GT car concentrating on going into that corner just shuts the door on the number 1 Panos, and that's the number 66 GT, the Racers Group 911 GT3, driven by Kevin Buckler and Tommy McGlynn. Well, it doesn't seem to have slowed down the number 1 Panos as he goes past yet another back marker. And right now, the lead Panos has a 20-second gap over the second place BMW of JJ Leto and Jörg Müller. Now this is absolutely playing into the hands of BMW. Now it is Jörg Müller and JJ Leto who are in the standings for the Drivers' Championship, and this is doing their chances no harm whatsoever. Well, as we went down, we unfortunately don't know exactly when our producer is going to go over to pit lane interviews, and we will bring you any information from our pit lane crew as and when we can. But if it looks like I'm just talking over the top of information, interesting information that you want from the pits, I am not. As soon as we get that information coming through on sound, we will stop and pick up any of that we can get. Right now we look at pictures on a typically beautiful Northern California day as we see GT cars going through GTS machines, and the prototype Panos number 1 coming through in the lead of this race. Well, they still have an outside chance in the championship, the Panos boys, with 2 rounds left to go after this one. But we've still got a lot of racing left here at Laguna Seca. And as we see the Panos coming round on the number 43 BMW, which was involved in that earlier incident, and just eking out a little bit more of a lead now. That number 1 Panos, 24-second gap between that and the second place BMW, and right in behind, very, very close for second and third, it's the McNish Capello Audi. And then the second of the 2 Audis driven by Emanuele Pirro and Frank Villa. And we go on board with an Audi now, and this is Ronaldo Capello. As we enjoy the twists and turns and undulations of the demanding Laguna Seca track, as Ronaldo Capello absolutely chasing hard that BMW, right in behind the Leto Muller car. Now there's a different view for you. The awesome Dodge Viper, big, huge front engine car, big bonnet sticking out in the front, all that heat from that engine being poured back onto the driver. Sitting in a very, very low slung position, much lower than our camera position here. Very difficult to get the feel of driving these long, long nose cars. And that is the all-conquering Oreca Viper, number 92 in GTS. But I can tell you right now, that is our leading car. And we can see the number 92 Viper driving around Laguna Seca, challenging for yet another win. Here we are at Laguna Seca, California. Round 10 of the American Le Mans Series. Round turns number 1 and 2. Tight left-handers in second gear. Just a little dab on the left foot before we go into the next turn. Turn number 3, accelerating up into third gear. Quick shift up into fourth gear. Through into this fast right-hander. Shifting up into higher gears, up into fifth gear along the straight. Coming into the fast left-hander now at turn number 5. Starting to climb more and more uphill. Third gear, even more uphill, coming in at a fast 120 mile an hour. Turn number 6, fourth gear. Up over the brow of this hill. And then comes the awesome. You can see the dark marks on the track as they brake really hard down into the corkscrew into second gear. Cannot see the entry for this corner, one of the most spectacular corners in the world. Then squeezing back on the power up into third gear. Now we're on board with the BMW. And on board with the prototype Audi. Still chasing down hard that prototype BMW. That is the third place car of Ronaldo Capello, chasing down Jörg Muller just up ahead of us there in the second place BMW. Oh, it looks like we may have some kind of incident here as we go back to our camera position. Just coming out of the corkscrew, and this is it. This is Ronaldo Capello. Oh, and that is the number 42 BMW and the Audi coming together with, I can't see what number that is, another, and that we have had in a relatively short amount of racing, a lot of back marker incidents already. And these are not just small incidents, these are race-changing incidents. And right there, Ronaldo Capello knew that as he came up on that slower car, the BMW is going to have difficulty, and that is absolutely the time for the driver chasing somebody down to try and take advantage. And he'll do it again here as they come up on the GTS Viper. But they both squeeze by Ronaldo Capello. And that is the number 21 Porsche, which we saw having the incident earlier. Seemed to be going around without too much serious damage. But like we've said so many times, these drivers are driving very, very sophisticated, very fast racing cars. They sometimes look a little bit ordinary in comparison to the awesome prototype machines. But a GTS or a GT car, let me tell you, is a serious, serious piece of racing machinery. And these drivers have such a difficult job to keep those cars on the road and race against each other in their class, and at the same time know they've got these much faster cars. Not necessarily faster drivers, but much faster cars that are bearing down on them all the time. And they want to let them through without, of course, ruining their own race and without changing the outcome of the prototype class. As we look at two more of the prototype entries, we have the Cadillac leading the group of three cars there. And it is the Panos trying to squeeze by. And there we have yet and Ronaldo Capello did make contact with the number 92 Viper. So yet again, more contact out on the track. And yet again, we see the Panos. Now that's our first look at the Saleen machine. Steve Saleen's car, the Saleen S7 GTS car, believe it or not. Looking at that, you might think it's a prototype car, and some people think it's perhaps bending or not in the spirit of the GTS rules, but there it is, looking to be a front-running car next year. Qualified 4th overall in GTS class for its debut here at Laguna Seca. Now as we go on board, we're on the Dick Barber Porsches. Now we enjoy the Laguna Seca track from a driver's perspective. See how hard these drivers have to work. No sequential gearbox for these GT cars, working at the steering wheel all the time through the corners, absolutely on the limit of adhesion. Coming up over the brow of the hill. See the seat on the left-hand side, just see the upper part of the driver's seat flexing as they go through the corners up over the brow of the hill, braking hard, down 2 gears, down another gear. Here we are, the Audi coming up over the brow of the hill into the corkscrews, close in behind, down the dip they go. Ronaldo Capello still working so hard to chase down the BMW just ahead. Yet another GT car getting in the way, but managing to stay out of trouble. There we are. We don't need a graphic to tell us the gap. It is right in front of us. That is what 0.6 of a second looks like. Of course, the time difference is about the same through the slow corners and the fast corners. It's about 0.6 of a second. But 0.6 of a second through a slow corner is a much shorter distance than through a fast corner. There we are, the GT Porsche just getting lapped now as we see Ronaldo Capello squeezing through. And again, a good example here. Yet another car coming through. The second of the two Audis squeezing past the front-running Dick Barber Porsche as he gets a bit of a wobble on turn in. Now this is a battle royale. We really are enjoying some hammer and tongs racing here. And join us back for more action from Laguna Seca, round 10 of ALMS, right after this. Familiar pictures then as we look on board. It is an Audi giving hard chase to a BMW prototype. Alan McNish right underneath the wing of that BMW. Now it must be fair to say that the Audi has proven to be the stronger car towards the latter half of this year. I keep saying that, but right now the BMW drivers are managing to eke the last little bit of competitiveness out of that BMW. Really, it must be said, not the match overall for the Audi package. But JJ Leto and Jörg Müller still are leading the drivers category. Well, no, excuse me, I say Alan McNish leads the drivers category by 210 points coming into this round. A mere 8 points behind is Jörg Müller. So McNish leads on 210. Jörg Müller in the BMW is in second in the driver's standings. And Ronaldo Capello, McNish's teammate, also second. So it's still a very, very good battle. And I tell you, the BMW drivers have held on bravely with very consistent finishes when Audi have been winning most of the races. They have been well off the pace in terms of pure outright speed compared to the Audi at certain times, but Müller and Leto in particular have really, really hung on for some great performances. Now that was the case until Petit Le Mans, where they finished much lower down than they were used to. We look back here at this incident, this could have been much, much worse. And that is the 43 BMW and Alan McNish in the 77 Audi, and it's now the 77 Audi chasing down the number 42 BMW. Fourth and fifth position overall in this race right now after 53 laps of racing. That confirms it. Jan Magnussen leading, Emanuele Pirro is second, Johnny O'Connell third, Panos holding two of the top three places. Fourth and fifth, BMW and Audi, and yet again they come up on a slower car. And the Panos comes in, giving the Audi free run. So that is the Brabham Magnussen car that comes into the pit lane. Jan Magnussen handing over to David Brabham, throws his seat out. Magnussen, the smaller, just slightly of the two drivers, needing an insert in there to make himself comfortable, takes that insert out for the slightly taller Australian driver, helping him with his full 6-point harness, getting him comfortably into that car. Cool and calm as usual, David Brabham. Although he may not be cool and calm for much longer if they continue to work on that car in pit lane. So as this happens, it is the number 78 Audi which goes into the lead. So unscheduled work on the lead Panos. So this really is a shame. They have been doing so well to lead this race. They were the quickest in the first qualifying session. Then it was back to situation normal with the Audis taking pole position in the second qualifying session. But very, very close. And right now, we're on board with Alan McNish in the number 77 Audi. They have moved up into fourth position. But their teammates, Emanuele Pirro and Frank Villa, are leading this race overall. And right now, Alan McNish has got his hands full, chasing down the BMW Leto Muller car. And now this is going to be his opportunity, coming up on slower traffic. Look at this, through the fast right-hander. Just coming through turn number 4 there, 110, 115 miles an hour. Well, it looks like they managed to fix whatever problem it was with the panels. They're putting fuel in that car. We're going to see them back out under racing. So Brabham behind the wheel of the number 1 Panos. And we have somebody going the wrong way in turns number 1 and 2. Not a good idea. Must have gone off on the outside. Oh, as we see, can't get a picture which car that is, as the Cadillac waves through the number 78 leading Audi. Cadillac coming into GT racing, excuse me, prototype racing this year again. And not really having the pace of the Audi machines, but working hard to get themselves up to the front. Now here it is, Alan McNish, BMW ahead of him, in between him and the BMW, a Corvette GTS car, winner of the last round. David Brabham now going out of the pit lane to take up the challenge for Panos again. Bring you up to date with the GTS classes. Still leading is the number 91 Dodge Viper of Olivier Beretta and Carl Wendlinger. Second place now in the prototype class, only 1 second behind. Excuse me, in the GTS class, only 1 second behind. Battle Royale again. Here is the Ron Fellows, Andy Pilgrim, GM Goodwrench Chevy Corvette, second in GTS. Then the second of the 2 Mobile 1 Dodge Vipers. Third place in GTS, leading GT. It's still Randy Post and Bruno Lambert in the Alex Job Racing entry, number 23. Well, that number 1 Panos is back out. Information we have from the pit lane was they are struggling with a broken exhaust. Now, what repairs they can do to that in pit lane is left to hard to say, but that will sap power as we see again. Alan McNish getting right down and dirty with the BMW up ahead. We can stay on board with this. You can really see a top world-class driver in action. Here we are coming up to the famous corkscrew. Hard, hard, hard on the brakes. This is where they came together before, down in here, but the BMW was slowed up by a slower car. As we stay on board with Alan McNish. He is leading now at Laguna Seca. Down into the famous corkscrew section of the circuit he goes. Keeping him honest, right in behind is his teammate Emanuele Pirro in the number 78 as he squeezes just up the inside of one of the front-running GT cars, number 51. But the action all over the racetrack. This is the number 92 Viper, running now in third in GTS. And it's Beretta and Wendlinger who have taken over the lead of GTS again. Squeezes through Alan McNish. Come through turn 3, into turn 4. Oh, and the second Audi squeezes by. This is a fast section of the track. Maybe we will stay on board. You can see the prototype cars just pulling away. Then go down a gear into turn number 5, 90 miles an hour, third gear. Climbing up the hill now. Coming up into the 120 mile an hour fourth gear, turn number 6. Very, very fast through here. Now that is a smoking Lola. Lola Judd. Raffinelli entry. Seems to have some kind of problem, but still out there running. In behind it, after 100 laps of racing, is the number 42 BMW. McNish it is, then Pirro in second place. JJ Leto, Hiroki Kato in fourth place. And the number 43 BMW of Jean-Marc Gounon and Bill Aberlane running in 5th. Well, there's some kind of problem with that Lola. Well, that Lola was crashed earlier in the pre-race warm-up. They managed to get the car back out, but it looks like it may not be lasting the distance. 30 minutes of racing to go here at Laguna Seca. Audi leads Audi. BMW are in 3rd position. Remember the Drivers' Championship battle. It is being kept very, very much alive by that car there, the number 42 BMW. We get a look now at the Johansson. Number 36, Janssen, Matthews, Reynard, Judd. Driven by, of course, ex-Ferrari Formula One drivers Stefan Johansson and Britain's own Guy Smith. Starting to really, really develop its pace nicely, the Reynard. And that is running now in 7th position overall. 2 laps down, I tell you, they really, really have been making some great progress. You can look at the front end of that car. Looks like it has also had some problems. Well, things are always changing. And right now, it's the number 91 Viper which leads. The 92 has led, the 91 has led. And it is now the Wendlinger Beretta car which leads. Most of our onboard shots are coming from the number 92 David Donahue Tommy Archer machine. Well, things, I tell you, there's 30 minutes to go. A lot of racing action left. Stick around here. Join us back at Laguna Seca. Well, we are about to go back to green flag racing. As we are about to go green, we take a look at the Cadillac entry. We take a look behind him. It's the Alex Joe GT Porsche. The field absolutely bunched up now. Just over 10 minutes of racing left. Leading this race is Alan McNish. Behind the wheel of the number 77 Audi, Emanuele Pirro is in second place. In third place, JJ Leto. And they are going to green, and you can be sure that these drivers will be battling it out. Well, the Audis have a clear run. It's the Saleen S7 GTS car which is separating them from the rest of the field right now. As we look back down the field, we're looking for that third place BMW. There it is. I tell you, there's a lot of machinery between it and the Audis. And with 10 minutes of racing left, they really, really have to hope that the Audis close up on the slower traffic as soon as possible. Now that's the number 43 BMW, which is leading on the track, this third place. And there you are, the number 42 squeezes through and goes by, so he can head up the chase and try and get on terms with the Audi. 13 minutes of racing left to go. Alan McNish leads the Drivers' Championship as he came in to Laguna Seca. He will lead it as he goes away, but still 2 races to go. The Drivers' Championship will still be open because JJ Leto and Jörg Muller are second place jointly in the Drivers' Championship. Just in behind Alan McNish. JJ Leto is now pedaling that machine, ex-Grand Prix driver, ex-British Formula 3 champion, where he cut his teeth in international racing in the UK, as did so many drivers, including our race leader, Alan McNish. Went on to a brief Formula 1 career and has made his career in GT sports car racing in the last few years. JJ Leto, the rapid Finn, chasing down the Audis. McNish leads. Oh, and that's the great GTS battle here. Look at this. Number 4 Corvette, number 92 Viper. Now they're battling it out for second and third in GTS. The leading Viper is just a little bit away. Number 91 leads in GTS. Olivier Beretta and Carl Wendlinger, they've shared the GTS lead with that car, the David Donahue Tommy Archer machine, and now they're doing a good backup job, trying to keep that Corvette behind. Number 42 BMW goes by the Saleen S7 GTS, making its debut here at Laguna Seca. Number 92 Viper in behind. JJ Leto getting the hammer down. But equally will be Alan McNish and Emanuele Pirro. Oh, the Viper just squeezes up inside the Saleen S7, going through the very, very tight turn number 11. Then they accelerate away. Third of a lap ahead of them, coming up to turn number 5 now. Third gear left-hander, and then they start to accelerate uphill to turn number 6, accelerating, changing up into 4th gear. 120 miles an hour through the left-hander here. Then climbing and climbing and climbing up the hill here to come up to the very, very spectacular corkscrew section. Hard, hard, hard on the brakes, down into 2nd gear, turning through the left, through the right, through that right-hander, and then left again, accelerating away. 3rd gear, 110 miles an hour through the right-hander at turn number 10. Accelerating away, and then hard onto the brakes through this left-hander. Turn number 11 as they come along pit wall, accelerating away now. Full speed, the 2 Audis. Up into 5th gear. Up over the brow of the hill, plunging down from 165, 170 miles an hour into 70 mile an hour turn number 2, 2nd gear, turn 1. Squeezing the power on here, just moving across to the left-hand side. A little change up into 3rd gear, slight ease off the throttle, squeeze it back on again. Accelerating up into 4th gear under the bridge, turning through the right-hander. Accelerating through, getting up another good turn of speed. Up into 4th and 5th gear before they go down into 3rd gear again for turn number 5. Climbing up the hill again into turn number 6. 4th gear, 120 miles an hour. Alan McNish leads Emanuele Pirro through the spectacular changes in elevation of Laguna Seca here on the beautiful Monterey Peninsula in California. One of the driver's absolutely favorite circuits. Well, right now, Alan McNish seems to have the measure of Emanuele Pirro, but you can be sure that Emanuele Pirro will be keeping him very honest indeed. I don't think we have a situation of team orders just yet. Alan McNish is having to keep a good pace. Last lap time for Alan McNish, 1 minute 18.12. Emanuele Pirro, 1 minute 17.6, almost half a second faster, Emanuele Pirro. Well, it doesn't seem to be reflected on the distance between the 2 cars. But our lap information tells us that right now, Emanuele Pirro is the fastest man on the track. GTS is being led by Olivier Beretta and Carl Wendlinger. The Corvette of Ron Fellows and Andy Pilgrim is in 2nd place. Leading GT car, Boris Said and Hans-Joachim Stuck. Well, just about 8 minutes left to go of this race. Now, this is where we have had so many incidents. Oh, and they're just squeezing up the inside. The two Audis getting involved in those GT cars, just managing to squeeze up both up the inside. And again, the second of those two GT Porsches taking advantage of the faster cars coming through and managing to get a place. And you can see that's what that's all about. That's why the GT drivers have to be very, very careful about letting the prototype cars come through. They've worked hard throughout the race to gain positions. And then just by being a little bit too gentlemanly, letting the prototype cars come through, they lose a place. And to them, absolutely, their race is just as important as the prototype cars. And in many cases here, the drivers in the GT class not getting paid to do this. They are amateur drivers of the highest quality. So to them, finishing high up is extremely important. Number 43, BMW comes in for a very, very late driver change, splash and dash perhaps. Now that could be the number 43 car going out to get the fastest lap. That must be what that is about. There is a point for fastest lap, and the number 43 car would like to take that away from the Audi. There is a point for fastest lap. Wow, final minutes here of round 10 of the American Le Mans Series. We just saw the number 43 BMW going into the pits. They are not challenging for race victory. But what they are doing coming in, we think, for a pit stop is trying to go out and steal a point away from Audi. A point for fastest lap. I was saying a moment ago that the driver who leads the most laps in the race gets a point. The driver who sets the fastest lap of the race gets a point. And any driver who leads one lap gets a point. So you only have to lead one lap of the race overall. Just one lap. Doesn't matter what lap it is. Last one would be best. But it only has to lead one lap. They will get a point for that. They'll only get the one. If they then lead the most number of laps, they will get a point. And if they set the fastest lap, they will also get a point. So 3 bonus points are up for grabs. Now, right now, the fastest lap of this race is 1 minute 16.280. And that is by our race leader, Alan McNish. Now, I don't know how many laps he has led overall, I'm afraid, but it would be my guess that he has led the most number of laps. Now, I'll tell you, the BMW, the fastest lap by the Leto Muller car is a 1:17.6. So nearly, well, about a half a second slower than the Audi. Now, if that 43 BMW could put fresh rubber on and get fastest lap, well, it didn't look like it. As it went out, the Audi absolutely went flying by it. So perhaps not that tactic not working too well. We shall see. Well, last lap we've got recorded on our screen is nearly 2 minutes, so that is the lap it did when it went in the pits, and then its first flying lap was a 1 minute 30. So, right now it looks like it's pretty straightforward for Alan McNish at the front. Emanuele Pirro in second position. Audi 1-2. McNish and Capello looking for another win. Winners of Petit Le Mans, last round of the LMS series. We couldn't bring you that event live here on Eurosport due to a little bit of a sporting event going across, happening on the other side of the world called the Olympics. That tend to interfere, but we did bring you highlights of that race. Brought you, of course, all the LMS races this year. Texas, Portland, the previous rounds before that. Audi winning. Audi have won every race since Sears Point. And Alan McNish has won all but one of those. And that was Texas, where Emanuele Pirro and Frank Biela took victory for Audi. But at Petit Le Mans, at Portland, at Mosport, at Sears Point, it has all been Alan McNish and Ronaldo Capello. Well, how's this 43 BMW doing? Went in for a late pit stop, came out on fresh tires. And And I'm afraid it has not gotten anywhere near a 1:16.280, which still stands as the fastest lap of this race. And we'll get yet another point on the board for Alan McNish. Well, pardon me there for a moment. We know that 1:16.28 has been done by the number 77 Audi. Whether it has been done by Alan McNish or Ronaldo Capello, I'm afraid I can't tell you. But one of those two drivers will be getting a point as we come to the concluding part of this race. McNish leads for Audi. Emanuele Pirro in second place. JJ Leto is in third position. McNish and Leto, I can remind you, are battling over the outright honors in the Drivers' Championship, with 2 rounds left to go after this one. Emanuele Pirro in second place there, partnered in that car by Frank Biela, doing now a good support job, staying in second position behind Alan McNish. Leading this race, coming now to the conclusion of round number 10. It looks like the Oreca Viper is going to get a victory in a straight fight with the GM Goodwrench Chevy Corvette C5R, winner of the last 2 races it entered, including Petit Le Mans. Now Alan McNish comes through turn number 11. Fittingly, he goes by the leading GTS entry, the number 91 Oreca Viper of Olivier Beretta. Now, it seems quite obvious there are very much team orders, as the white flag has gone out, signifying 1 lap to go. So, it looks like another victory, barring any problems on the last lap here, any mechanical problems for Alan McNish. He will take yet another victory. His 5th victory of the year for Audi. It took him until race number 4 at Sears Point before he tasted victory for Audi the first time. There was a little event called the Le Mans 24 Hours, which Audi won. But in terms of ALMS, the season started off with a good win for Audi. Then it went 2 straight victories for BMW. BMW drivers have been consistent since, but not outright victory for them as Alan McNish comes through to take the win. Win number 5 for Alan McNish to extend his lead in the Drivers' Points Championship, to extend the lead that Audi have in the Manufacturers' Championship. Number 91 GTS Dodge Viper takes victory in that class, and it is Hans Stuck and Boris Said III who take victory in GT. Just coming ahead of the Randy Popes, Bruno Lambert, Porsche in second place. So BMW win over Porsche at Laguna Seca. I remind you that BMW have announced that they will not be competing in prototype ALMS racing in the year 2001, but will be putting their efforts as a factory behind that type of car, the GT M3 BMW, as Alan McNish takes victory. Right in behind him, Emanuele Pirro waves to the crowd. JJ Leto in third position.
So Marcus plays Lister at the front.